decades, economists believed there was a simple trade-off of the heart of every economy. If unemployment went down, inflation would go up. If inflation stayed low, unemployment would rise. This relationship became one of the most famous ideas in economics, the Phillips Curve. But today, many people are asking, does it still work? And if it doesn't, what does it mean for how governments fight inflation and unemployment? Welcome to Finance by Yerdo. I'm Yerdo, a 17-year-old student from Kazakhstan, and on this channel we break down economics, finance and business in clear and practical way. In this video, we're going to explain what the Phillips Curve really is, why it once shaped economic policy around the world, and why it has become so controversial today. The Phillips curve comes from a simple observation made in the 1950s by economist Phillips. He noticed that when unemployment was low, wages tended to rise faster, and when unemployment was high, wages grew slowly or even fell. The logic made sense. When lots of people have jobs, workers have more bargaining power. Companies compete for employees, wages rise, and higher wage push prices up, creating inflation. When unemployment is high, workers have less power, wages stay low, and inflation remains weak. So policymakers believed they had a choice: lower unemployment with higher inflation or lower inflation with higher unemployment. For a while, this idea worked. Governments and central banks thought they could fine-tune the economy, accept a bit more inflation to reduce unemployment, or slow the economy down to control prices. In the 1960s, many countries followed this logic. Economic growth was strong, unemployment was low, and inflation seemed manageable. The Phillips curve became a cornerstone of modern macroeconomics. Then the 1970s happened. Oil prices surged, inflation exploded, but unemployment also rose. This phenomenon became known as stagflation, high inflation and high unemployment at the same time. According to the Phillips curve, this wasn't supposed to happen. Economists realized something was missing from the model. And it was expectations. People don't just react to today's inflation, they anticipate future inflation. Once workers and companies expect prices to rise, they act in ways that make inflation persistent, even when unemployment is high. Today, economists still use a version of the Phillips curve, but it looks very different. The relationship between inflation and employment is much weaker. In many countries, unemployment fell to historic lows in the 1990s, yet inflation stayed low. And then after 2020, inflation surged even though labor markets hadn't fully overheated. This tells us something important. Inflation isn't driven by unemployment alone. Supply shocks, global trade, energy prices, expectations, and central banks' credibility all matter. Even if it's imperfect, the Phillips curve still shapes how central banks think. When inflation rises, central banks often tighten policy, even if unemployment increases, because they fear inflation becoming permanent. When unemployment rises sharply, they may accept higher inflation to support the economy. The Phillips curve isn't a rule anymore. It's a framework, a way to think about trade-offs, risks, and limits of policy. The Phillips curve taught economists an important lesson. There are no easy choices in economic policy. Trying to control inflation can cost jobs. Trying to protect jobs can fuel inflation. The real challenge isn't choosing one goal over the other. It's managing expectations, credibility, and long-term stability. So, what do you think? Is the Phillips curve still relevant today, or has the global economy outgrown it? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of complex economic ideas explained clearly, subscribe to Finance by Yerdo.